This is the Daymak Paris and the 24-volt Vermont e-bike. These are like entry-level, super affordable for people who just want something basic to, help them out a little bit up hills, through the wind or snow. They're $9.99 each. They're both about the same size. I just did a measurement. It's like 18 inches on this seat tube right here, 22-inch reach. So a little bit more compact. I'd say this is like small, medium. But they come with a lot of great accessories, including the fenders. We got the rack right here. We've got an adjustable, kind of this like, I don't know if I'd call this quick release, but you use this lever and you kind of unscrew this bolt so you can adjust the seat height. And then we've got quick release on the front wheel as well. So that's nice, if you need to store this or you need to transport it, taking off this wheel can reduce the weight. The weight of this one is about 50 pounds, so not terrible. And part of that's just because you've got, a small battery and a small motor system. So the wheel size here is something like, where did it go? 26 by 1.75. So that's like classic, super affordable tubes, just very standard size. I like that. The fenders are plastic and they've got this kind of a rubber mud flap on them, and they do give you good coverage. It comes down pretty far. Same with the back. You're not going to get a rooster tail or anything like that. I like that they have a couple extras like this plastic chain guard. You've even got like a little metal derailleur protector down here. Shimano tourney, very basic. This is like as cheap and as entry level as they come, but it's still Shimano components. They've been making them for a long time. And, if you keep this thing, fairly clean and maybe oil it every once in a while and adjust it with these different screws right here, H and L, high gears, low gears. If you adjust that, if it starts to come out of true or you take it to the local shop, you could keep this thing running for quite a while. There isn't suspension or anything. That's part of what keeps it lighter weight. So it could be a little bit more jarring, but you've got this upright handlebar position. It's a little bit smaller, so you should have your kind of a heads-up view, which is nice. And the seat, this Vader, fairly soft, very, very cushy. It's really interesting to see mirrors like this on an electric bicycle, but they do it a lot on electric scooters and things like that, and it just gives you even more visibility when you're riding. So that's good stuff. No lights or anything. Of course, you could add your own, but I like that they've got reflectors. Looks like maximum 25 kilograms on this rack here. So I think the motor is 250 watt, internally geared, so you're going to get a little bit more torque for starting and stuff, but very, very small, kind of a modest design on this. This is actually the standard in Europe. 250 watts is what they kind of like cap it at. In America though, and in Canada, this is a little bit smaller. And then the battery size here, it's like 24 volts, 10 amp hours. So, definitely again, smaller, but physically too, you can kind of see it's just real tucked in and it's really integrated, the colors and everything. This battery design has an on-off switch right here, which is great. As soon as you click on, it allows you to press on again up at this display. Shows your battery capacity right there, how full it is. So four little green LEDs, and then you get to pick from different modes, low, medium, or high. And in any of those modes, you can override assist with the throttle, but this button has to be kind of depressed. So if you're someone who's worried about, I don't want to bump the throttle and I don't even want to use the throttle, you can unclick it and it won't work. So that's a really nice feature. And I like that they give you some choice in how you're riding. Pedal assist on this bike is very basic. It's just using a cadence sensor, but I love that they've got, I think, 12 magnets, so it's one of the more responsive pedal assists. It's not like you have to push down very hard to get it to go. You just have to move the cranks a little, and it senses that motion, and it helps you. So good choices all around. I really like that. Some of the bikes, like this one here, it uses a different battery style. There isn't an on and off switch. You turn the bike on and off by pressing this button near the throttle. So you no longer have the choice to activate or deactivate the throttle. And I don't like this quite as much. The display is also a little bit different. Again, this is the high step version of the Vermont 24 volt. And this is the low step Paris. They're named different, but they're basically kind of at the same level. They're offering you the same sort of experience at the same price point, same motor size and everything. I think this one's probably a little bit more popular, the step through, because you can just come up to it and step over like that. You don't need to swing your leg around the back. And I've definitely been in the situation where I was like, let's ride, and it kunk and you hit your shin or something. and that's happens a lot more frequently with a high step like this, because you can't step through the bar as easily. You tend to swing your leg over. So just be careful if you have this bike and you're doing it. The one benefit, I'd say, well, there's two big benefits. Big benefits of a high step bike like this is it's stiffer. This triangle is a lot stronger in terms of geometric design than this low step. See, there's just not quite as much strength in this kind of design. You've got all of your weight. It's kind of like being in like this on the bike versus having it well supported. I like that the frame is kind of this black sparkly color. It looks nice, but it's still, I'd call it like unisex. And then anyway, the other benefit is that this one has a bottle cage adapter right there, and this one does not. So, make your choices. They both perform fairly similarly. And I think the high step also doesn't have quite as many cadence sensors, so it's going to be a little bit slower to stop. They both have these mechanical V-brakes. They do a good enough job. If you're riding in a lot of water and dirt and stuff, you can kind of get the rims dirty, and then they can get scratched with V-brakes versus disc brakes. But this is entry-level stuff. You're getting it for a better price, and so that's one of the trade-offs that they've made. Both of the levers do have motor inhibitors, though, so at any time if you pull those, it'll cut the motor, which is great. I think that's important for a cadence sensing bike, especially if someone's riding this as more of a basic bike and maybe not as familiar. It's not for fun out on the trail. It's also important to have good stopping, but you're on the streets with traffic. You don't want to accidentally feel like you're out of control. We've got a nice kickstand. Kick that up. I'm just gonna hop on this one and do a little throttle action here. I'm just gonna gun it so you can see like the full power. So there's no display showing me how fast I'm going, how far I've gone. But I'm imagining I'm getting up to like, this probably only goes like 10 miles per hour, maybe 15. It's pretty slow, but it's also very quiet and fairly efficient. So, you're probably gonna get like a 10, maybe a 15 mile range with this, depending on whether you're using pedal assist or that throttle. Pedal assist is gonna be a lot more efficient, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Just pedaling. It's activating the motor. It's fairly pleasant. It's a 50-pound bike. That's not a whole lot of weight to move around. Blends in fairly nicely. It's got that good price point. And Daymak has like a 1-year warranty on their frames and motors. And they've also got like 6 months to cover the battery and some of the other components. So that's decent. And you've got 6-speed cassette here. So, if you're climbing, you take it down to one of the lower gears. If you're trying to hit those top speeds, you go to the higher ones. And it's this oversized thumb shifter, which works pretty well. I'm gonna bang on this real quick. There we go. Worked all right. You're not supposed to shift when you're standing still like that, but I've been kind of testing it out, getting some idea for how the Shimano tourney works. Let's try that again. Yeah, so you kind of get the idea. It's not bad. So that is the Daymak Vermont and the Paris, both the kind of the entry-level, most affordable electric bikes from this company. And you got a decent experience. If you're like very limited on budget and you want an electric bike to help you go further, or it just, maybe you have sensitive knees like I do. Sometimes when I'm climbing, it gets to be too much. It's nice to have that throttle. It's nice to have pedal assist helping you out. And this is a good way to get started. These guys have been selling bikes for quite a while. They've got a ton of outlet stores, but they also sell them online. I just did what I was talking about. I hit my leg. So anyway, they should be fairly available if you're in Canada. I'm at a store in Toronto where they have them. It's like e-bike universe. But otherwise, they sell them online, and I think shipping is like a couple $100 if you're in Canada. And if you're in the US, maybe it's a few $400. But this is a lighter bike, so it should be a little easier to ship. It sort of depends on where you're going. So yeah, I think that's it. Definitely consider some lights, get a helmet, and ride safe out there. Cheers.